Before the video starts, I want to remind you that I give away one free version of my Ultimate Effects Pack on every future tutorial. All you have to do is like the video and drop a comment, and then I will randomly pick a comment. So the last video was the background glitch effect, and I'm going to randomly pick a winner and see who it is. So the winner is Syed Kazim. If I butchered your name, I'm sorry, but he said, "I am loving your tutorials. Love you, bro, from heart." So I will reach out to you in the YouTube comments and send that on your way. What's up, y'all? Welcome to a new tutorial. Today we are somewhere in the middle of Virginia, I think. And I got my drone. It's updating currently. And I kind of wanted to show you a cool little trick I use sometimes when I want to make my drone footage a little bit more dynamic. And this is basically turning your regular drone footage into FPV footage. And it's pretty cool because we got some trees right here that I'm gonna go in and out, and then this long road, and I think over the hill there's a couple silos or something. So I'm gonna do my best to show you how you can transform your drone footage into something dope like this. This tutorial should kind of come with a warning label because I almost crashed my drone twice. And the big thing with this effect is to actually get your drone as close to subject or objects as you can. So for example, a big thing with this, you kind of want to fly it differently. You want to fly as close as you can to them, and you kind of want to pan and track to the side as you're flying around them. And another huge thing is get low to the ground, because the more stuff that's in your foreground and the more stuff that's literally right in front of your lens, it'll make this effect pop that much more. So I'm going to show you quickly a side-by-side comparison of what the actual footage looks like and then what it looks like when you add some of those transform effects onto it. But all in all, I think it's going to turn out pretty sick. A huge factor in making this look realistic is being comfortable with your drone controls and smooth. You should move your drone as slowly as possible, as in if you're panning up, make that slow, and if you're tracking to the side, make that pan slow, because if you make jittery movements, it's not going to look that realistic. But all in all, it's fairly hard to do, but I'm just gonna jump on the computer and then show you guys what we shot and how we're gonna transform it into sick drone footage. I got bit by something. Ow. So now that we're in Premiere, we're going to start working with these clips right here. The first one is me tracking to the left over this hill. The second one is me tracking to the right and panning down a little bit around this tree. The third one is me panning around all of these trees to the right. And then finally, we have a road shot where I am just panning in the right and left directions based on where I'm going on the road. So the first things first is to understand what you need to do this effect. So all this effect is manipulating the rotation and scale when you are moving around your image. Now you'll see that we get these black bars, and we don't want that. So if you're working on a 16:9 timeline, you can just punch in your clip as much as needed, but then you will also lower that resolution. But as you can see, we can start to get that effect already. If you would like, you could definitely add some black bars, and using my cinematic black bars free preset linked below, you can easily add some black bars to this footage by creating a color matte and then dragging that color matte over your drone footage, and then applying a cinematic black bars preset on there, and then you instantly have black bars if you would like to do that. But if you're doing black bars, you should be editing in that resolution. So first things first, we're going to keep these black bars up here for the sake of this tutorial and click on our first drone footage. As you can see, we are panning to the left. So what I'm going to do is go to the effects controls, and I'm simply going to keyframe this rotation. So I'm going to set a keyframe right here in the beginning. And then I'm going to scroll through a little bit till I get to right about there. And then I'm going to change the rotation to something that matches my clip. As you can see, I'm getting a little black lines on the edges. So what I'm going to do is punch in the scale to about 120. And then that should give me a little bit more room to play. I'm going to punch it right about there. So playing back through, let's see what this looks like. As you can see, I'm starting to turn in, but you'll notice that that is a really hard stop right there. So what you want to do is right-click on your second keyframe and then go to ease in, and then let's play that back.
So as you can see, that's a little bit smoother and it looks pretty decent. But if you want that to be even smoother, click this little arrow by the rotation and then drag these lines down a little bit so you can see what's going on. As you can see, this is our graph where we can manipulate our keyframe speed. So clicking on our keyframe, you can see this little line. You can drag this to the left. That will basically slow down this ramp a little bit so it's not so harsh going into that. So let's check that out. That looks pretty good like that. And honestly, I'm going to just keep that right there. So moving on to the next clip, we have a pan to the right and going up. So what I'm going to do is the exact same thing. I'm going to change the scale to about 120. And then I'm going to keyframe the rotation. And I'm going to start this keyframe right about there. And I'm just going to rotate it to the left and then drag that to the beginning. Scroll a little bit till I get on top of the tree. And then I'm going to rotate it to the right a little bit, like so. And again, I'm going to right click and select ease in. Sometimes you don't have to manipulate the speed ramp at all because it just looks good. So yeah, like this one, I like what that looks like. So once you get the effect that you want, I highly recommend changing the speed of your clips to speed them up a little bit. So in order to change the speed, you can either right click and go to speed and duration, or my favorite way is selecting R on the keyboard, and that's the rate stretch tool. And you can simply drag your clip around and it'll speed the clip up for you. So once you speed up your clip, all you're going to do next is right click on your clip, go to nest, and then click OK. That'll create a nested sequence so we can apply warp stabilizer onto our footage. So you're going to do this process a couple times. So again, I'm going to speed up my next clip by selecting R on my keyboard and dragging that a little bit. And then I'm going to right click, select nest, and then click OK, and then apply a warp stabilizer. So now playing back through this, we have warp stabilizer on, so it makes our footage a little bit more stable. Sometimes you can get a little jittery stuff going on, so you may have to tone down your warp stabilizer if that's happening. Now moving on to our next clip right here, I see that we're tracking to the right, so all I'm going to do is keyframe this beginning portion by clicking rotation, and then I'm going to go to a little bit right here, and then I'm going to change the rotation to probably something like that, and then I'm going to adjust the scale until I get rid of all of those black lines. So that looks good. And then again, right click on our next keyframe and go to ease in, and then give this a playback. Oh, that looks so good. As you can see, we are just flying in. It looks like we're actually rotating the camera, and that stays there for a while. So if you like what it looks like, you can kind of keep it at that. And then again, you could probably keyframe something and then do the same thing as resetting the rotation at the end. Again, right click, ease in, and then see what that looks like. Cool. So you can start to create some rotation. Now for the long shots like this, you just want to keyframe the rotation throughout the entire process. So again, I'm going to keyframe the rotation, and let's start from this angle, and then I'm going to go forward a little bit till I get to the turn, and then I'm going to rotate it into the turn. And then right away, I'm going to increase my scale. I don't have to keyframe that because once you set it, it should be good. And then again, right click on your next keyframe and go to ease in. And then we're going to go through here. I'm probably going to flatten it out. So I'm just going to hit the reset button. For this one, I'm going to click Bezier because that'll just Bezier this curve. And then I'm going to scroll till I get to the next turn. And then I'm going to change this into that direction like so. And then we're going to fade this back to normal and then right click ease in. So all I did right there is just add all these keyframes to make my drone look like it's flying into these turns right here. And playing back through that, it looks like this. As you can see, it's a little jittery still and it looks very slow. So I don't like how this looks. So what I'm going to do is hit R on my keyboard and pretty much increase the speed of this really fast, about 276%. So as you can see, that's starting to look a little bit better, but this is where warp stabilizer will come in handy. So what I'm going to do is right click, select nest, because you can apply warp stabilizer to speed modified clips, and then drag on warp stabilizer and give that one a go. So I think that looks pretty good and it gets the effect done. You'll have to play around with what it looks like on your drone footage, but Ultimately, you should really just be flying your drone as smooth and cinematic as possible, and then manipulate the rotation and scale to be able to do all this stuff. Keep in mind that you can also just delete your color matte, and when you're working with your footage, you'll just have to zoom in a little bit more to get rid of those black bars, but you'll get the exact same effect. Well, hopefully you guys learned something today, and if you did, let me know down below. Hit that like button, and as always, I'll see you next time.